Welcome to From the Sidelines, the podcast that dives deep into the world of sports journalism and how young, aspiring journalists can break into this competitive field. Today, we're joined by Lorenz, an award-winning South African sports journalist with a massive following on X and Facebook, and a key voice at Idiski Times. We'll explore his journey and how he used consistency and dedication to propel himself to success. For me, sports journalism is about more than just games. It's about the intersection between sport and the real world. Sport doesn't just entertain us, it reflects deeper societal issues, and I'm passionate about unpacking those stories. If you're just as curious, stay tuned as we dive into how to succeed in this industry while staying true to your values. Let's get into it.
Welcome everyone to the very first episode of a podcast from the Sidelines, where we dive deep into the world of football journalism and explore what it takes to find your feet in this dynamic industry. I'm your host, Rivaldo, Jantjies, and alongside me is my co-host, Tristan Monzeglio.
Hey guys, we're super excited to kick things off today, and today we've got an amazing guest. We've got Lorenz, who is an amazing award-winning journalist in the football industry. And thank you so much for joining us, Lorenz.
It's a pleasure, guys. Just to put it out there, the reason why I accepted it, because the request didn't even come from me directly to me. It came to my work, which is funny. I don't even know how you got that email address. And it was forwarded to me. And I immediately saw, okay, students. And the reason why I accepted it is because I was in the same position once upon a time. And I know I would have personally loved it if somebody said, let's do this, you know what I mean? So I just put myself in your guys' shoes because I was there and I was like, let's do this. So thank you for inviting me, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Okay, so let's start off with first things first. Let's take a trip down memory lane. If I was a friend or a relative of yours at 25, who were you back then and what was driving you at that age?
When I was studying, I think in 2018, I was working for a couple of years already. I did in-service internships with my studies. So I got into the football industry quickly. But at the time, I don't know if you guys know this term, you know what shovelware is?
No, can you explain that?
Shovelware is journalism. They call it journalism. So it's basically aggregated content. So basically, you'll be sitting on BBC. You'll be sitting on all the reputable websites that have, big staff and do exclusive content, right? And you'll be covering, go on YouTube and you'll get a press conference or whatever. And then you take that content and you create content. And it's basically creating content for mass. So I was doing a lot of ghostwriting. There's no names on it or whatever. We'll do match previews or post-match things. And it goes into web. So people can buy this content. So I'm working for one company that is selling content. So we don't get any credit for it. So basically you're pushing out maybe 10, 15 stories a day. And for me, that was where I was at the time. And my mindset was, when I was studying, it was like reading other people's work, no disrespect to them. I just said, I can do this. I can do the same. I'm able to write like this. I have the knowledge. I can maybe do better. That was my mindset. So when I was in that space for a couple of years doing ghostwriting, because that's the easiest way to explain it, I was very, at first, I'm getting money. Fine. I'm happy. But then that wears off. You want more, you want more, you want more. So I would say, to answer your question, I was ambitious and fed up as well, because I was tired of being stuck in the same routine. And then to my family and friends, they knew that. And I just set up what I want for my life, which is kind of on the journey that I'm now. So going from a ghostwriter to developing a concept of what I want to do, where I want to be, and how I want to do it. That's the process I was in 2018. So I would say 6 years later, I think I've started to hit most of the targets and stuff. But obviously you then reevaluate now. Sitting at the point now, I'm reevaluating. I'm not happy where I am now. I want to go further. And you set more goals and whatever. So I would say that in 2018, definitely that's like where you started becoming, or I started becoming more a tunnel vision approach. Not happy. Where do I want to go? How do I want to go? So it's basically setting the goals and a vision. You know what I mean? And the step-by-step plan. I always tell people it's like a recipe, right? If you want to make something, you create a recipe, it's step by step, and you're going to make something. You're going to make what you're trying to make. And it's the same in your life. You create the step by step and you just hit the targets and you'll get where you want to be.
That's really fascinating. So, as you were navigating the start of your career,
Yes.
what would you say were some of the biggest challenges that you faced during your early years in football journalism?
So the challenges was going from the very social lifestyle to just work. And it kind of gets depressing because you don't have weekends anymore. You know what I mean? But it's a sacrifice that you have to make because at the end of the day, you're earning a salary and you have an expectation, you've signed a contract, whatever. So I think that was one of my main, in the beginning, that was one of my main struggles. And then also, you're very ambitious, you're excited, nobody's going to listen to you. You know what I mean? You're going to come in there, you're going to have ideas. And I even found that later on into my career where I was working at one of the biggest, media companies in Africa, in the world, in fact, but they weren't listening to me. You know what I mean? I came fresh from university and I said, guys, we need to do this, we need to do that. This is what the future looks like. And they were like, no, this is what we do. And this is what makes money. And your ideas are all well and whatever, but this is not what's going to make us money.
Well, kudos to you for finding your own path. I think that's very impressive. And just out of curiosity, you say it was a challenge in the beginning, like managing your social life and things. How do you manage it now? How do you manage the work-life balance?
Now, it's a bit different. I don't have I'm in a different stage of my life than I was, let's say 7-8 years ago, because I'm father now, family and stuff. Because I've moved from Cape Town to Johannesburg, it's not like, oh, my friend is, drinking a beer in his yard, I'm going to go there. There's no more of that FOMO. It's like you still do have to take sacrifices. Like, let's say, for example, I can talk to the future to explain to you that question. In 2025, AFCON starts on the 21st of December, right? My birthday is on the 22nd of December, so I will not be with my family. I will not be there for Christmas. I will not be there for New Year. But I understand that, you know what I mean? Because for a journalist, that is the time where you're going to make your money and you're going to build your brand and your reputation by being there. You have to be there. And the family already knows, okay, next Christmas, next birthday, you're not going to be there. So it's more of communication and prioritizing, because now, let's say when I'm done, either I will have the Christmas and stuff before, or when I come back, let's say, okay, we're going to have our Christmas now, and I'll take a week off and just be with the family, you know what I mean? So it's communication sacrifice. Yeah.
You sound like a really driven guy, and I think you have to kind of be driven if you're in this industry, right? But you were mentioning before we started recording about other things you were interested in. I was just curious, you found your feet, like you're saying, around 2018. But before that, did you have any other ambitions that you were interested in?
Yeah, so basically, just a normal guy from Cape Town, right? I come from a traditionally colored area, right? Very normal childhood, go outside, play soccer in the street, drive bicycle, drive scooter, walk to the house shop. You know that pictures that can paint that picture. So my whole life was evolved around sport, cricket, soccer, athletics, and stuff like that. So I obviously excelled in two things, which was sprinting and soccer. Right? I played club football, whatever. And then just like my whole childhood was centered around, my whole brain was always thinking, I'm going to play professional soccer, and that's my life, right? But then you grow older and you realize, maybe this is not going to work out for me. Maybe I don't want it as badly as I thought. And then I took a gap year. So I got everything out of my system. So by the time I went into first year, I told you offline I wanted to be a lawyer, but my marks wasn't good enough. So everything that my marks were saying was, you're great in English, you're great in Afrikaans, you're great in history, and a little bit of business. Maybe journalism is the path you should go to. So by the time I got to first year, I was not, okay, yes, I was still immature, but I was still I'm done messing around. I'm going to come here, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to finish it, you know what I mean? I know this is what I want to do. But then coming into first year, second year, I had some insane lecturers. They were a bit crazy. I don't know what they did in their personal life, but they were geniuses. They were genuinely geniuses. And they made me realize how small my thinking was in terms of, let's say, our whole life growing up is soccer, rugby, but we realize, okay, there's this crazy stuff happening around the world, you know what I mean? There's wars, there's people who control our minds, control our brains, control our thinking, control our habits, control, and that's all shaped in media, social media, books, whatever. And that blew my mind. I was like, wow, like we are all idiots, you know what I mean? We're all controlled little idiots. And that made me want to go into a space of investigative journalism, like, just making a difference and things like that. I was super inspired at the time. But then I said I did an internship and I fell into sport, which was obviously my first love, football. And I just felt, like, this is easy, man. I can make a career out of this. This is so easy. I can write, I can watch soccer for a living and whatever. And let's do this, you know what I mean? So yeah, that was basically the interest was be lawyer, investigative journalist. But then because it's just passion, you're always going to get back to your passion.
Would you say there's been a moment in time where in a competitive industry like journalism, where you were pressured to have everything figured out and have everything done right?
Especially in your 20s, you're like kind of lost.
Yeah, I was frustrated for a lot of the while because I keep referring back to it, but that's going to give you a context of why I got into this. I was frustrated that I was writing for some of the biggest websites. Like I was writing, stories for club websites, but there's no names on it. Like nobody knows that you wrote this. I would put on the TV. Remember when you used to have the DSTV and you go on and they would have articles there? Remember that, right? I was writing that stuff. Right? Nobody knows. So to have it all figured out, I was frustrated at the amount of work that I did do every day, week in, week out, waking up early, sitting in 3 hours of traffic on the N1 or the N2 in Cape Town. That was soul destroying, bruh. You come there and you get nothing out of it, right? So for example, I remember, I'll never forget it. We were in university, you're always learning, you must be on social media, you must be on Twitter, you must blah, 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 blah. And I was like, told my friend, when we go work, we're gonna, by the time we finish this in-service thing, we're gonna have like 50,000 followers, whatever. That did not happen. I think I decreased in followership. You know what I mean? Like nobody was reading my stuff. Nobody was like liking it. My Facebook, my mom would like comment on it and like it and share it, my family and stuff. So it was like, yo, what's going on here actually? You know what I mean? Then you realize it's because you're not creating unique content. It's not exclusive content. They can get it anywhere else. You know what I mean? You don't have the momentum. So I did have the pressure to figure it out. But obviously it was a slow process. It's small wins.
So were there any mentors or key figures during that time who really helped you like shape your path both professionally and personally?
Okay, mentors, I would say, look, if you're a young kid coming into an industry and you like doing well, you're not going to get a lot of guys that's going to support you because they like feel threatened, right? But there were key players in this industry for me. And the funny thing is, it was actually more of a mindset developing than an actual person coming in and saying, you should do this, you should do that, this is how I do things. Okay, so the mindset things is, for example, do you guys know what MLM is? Multi-level marketing. It's like Herbalife, Amway. It's basically what people call like pyramid schemes. During my gap year, I was part of that type of vibe. But now there's a lot of like negativity around it and whatever. But the positive thing about it is all the people that was in my community that I grew with, right? Every one of them became successful. And the funny thing is, it's because of you grew your mind, right? So on Saturday as well, the friends who laughed at us said, you're in a pyramid scheme, blah, blah, blah. They were laughing at us. They drinking beer, right? They going to parties. We were going to like seminars of personal development, right? We were watching YouTube videos of Les Brown, Gary Vaynerchuk, Bob Proctor. We were reading books. What 19, 20-year-old is reading self-development books? You know what I mean? They still drinking beer to this day on a Saturday. And we are all doing different things, various different things. Even if somebody becomes a successful model, that is success, you know what I mean? So that guy who was like our leader in that MLM, he told me one thing. I was sitting in the car one day, he told me straight, you will be successful in whatever you do. Doesn't matter what. This is because you got the mind for it. And the mind is about understanding that there's no such thing as too much knowledge. You can always learn from anything and anyone, no matter what it is. And that gave me that, that unshakable belief that, what, if you apply yourself to something, what you want, you're going to get it. So he was he doesn't even know that. I haven't spoken to this guy in years, but he was very key, and that had nothing to do with my career of media. We were selling energy drinks. And then going beyond that, I would just say family as well, just keeping you on the right path, keeping you humble and whatever. I think that's also very important, just understanding what is important, what is not. I think my partner once said a couple of years ago, she's like, you filling your cup too much on one side, which is work, but you need to have your spirituality, whether it's going to church, whether it's just the self-help books or whatever. You need to have your family time, and then you need to have your work time. Because I was doing well, I was working jobs that I wanted, but I was still not happy, and that was not balanced.
Well, I think that's interesting that you mentioned owning your craft. So you use kind of like Movo, in a way, like you say, you the mobile journalism, online journalism, and like really focusing in on that space. What are some of the strategies that you use to ensure your success online?
So in the beginning, like I said, I wasn't very big on social media. I think I started a Twitter account in 2011. In 2019, I had 1,500 followers. In 2024, I got to 100,000. So how do you take 8 years to get to 1,000 followers and things like that? And then I was telling him the other day, it took me 2 years to get to 10,000 followers on Facebook. And then after I got to 10,000, I got to 100,000 in a month. So it's momentum, right? So obviously it's learning. Obviously, if you're exactly the same as somebody else, nobody's going to follow you, right? So you need to tweak it in the way that you want. So I think the innovation was the fact that, I was at the two biggest publications in South Africa. But I realized, okay, I'm spending all this time writing a story, I'm putting it on the website, and then some other guy that is probably 16 years old sitting at home, he's taking my story, he's copying it onto Facebook, he's putting it there, and he's growing huge. And I was getting frustrated. I can't allow this. So I started my own stuff and things. So I think the innovation is, I had a very, very, very simple way of looking at it. I said, I'm going to write minimum, I'm going to do 10 posts per day, whether it's a story, whether it's just some random question, whether I'm engagement farming or whatever, I'm going to have 10 posts per day. So I'd say I would get into the office at the time at like about 6 o'clock. I'd come in very early and I would leave at like 8 in the evening. So I would do all my work, plus I'm growing myself on the side. So yeah, it would be 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 every day for like 2 or 3 years. But then that becomes the expectation, and then there's the pressure and all that type of thing. So basically it's just content plan and consistency of executing the content plan.
So basically what you were saying is don't reinvent the wheel.
You can reinvent the wheel, but not quickly. You slowly. So for example, now people are seeing what I'm doing and they're doing the same. Audience is not loyal. They'll always go to the person that is giving them what they want. So what we will all keep saying is like, we need to be better now. People are going to do the same thing, but we just need to be better. Just work harder, because other people are also going to get the same sources of information that you have and might get better relationships. So in my industry, it's about relationships, sitting at 10 p.m. on a Sunday, listening to an agent talk about how his wife is irritating. And you don't really care, but you are watering that relationship. You're becoming, okay, after a while you do get, because you become actual genuine friends with people who give you information, you know what I mean? But it's watering that constantly and developing natural relationship, you know what I mean?
Looking ahead, how do you see the future of football journalism, especially for young professionals?
I think it's definitely the future is video. I mean, it's the present as well. But I think in a South African perspective, we can really increase, the quality of our video content, right? Which is engaging, because our markets are changing, right? So my generation and your generation are on TikTok and IG watching reels, they're watching shorts, they're watching YouTube podcasts and things like that. Because if you go out there, who is creating good video content of PSL, like proper? The radio stations, maybe your Marawas, your Andile Ngubes, those guys, good, consistent, but they're veterans, you know what I mean? And they're evolving with their teams. And bubblegum content, I call it, listicles, evergreen content. You don't even need to speak to any footballer, but you can create viral content. And that's things that, like if you go on YouTube, the highest scorers in the PSL or in Africa, do you know Godfrey Chitalu outscored Gerd Muller and Lionel Messi in the 19 evergreen content and stuff like that? So there's a space in South African football that doesn't tell enough video stories. You know what I mean? And I think that TikTok is a space that, that's there, that people can go out and just dominate now. And if you make the TikTok video, you can anyway put it on Facebook, and you can put it on YouTube and wherever, whatever. So I think the future is basically short form videos and storytelling through videos.
So yeah, and also I think with TikTok now, the attention span for people is much more shorter.
So the listicles work. It's like, who's the top 10 best dressed? I'm just making an example. PSL players and stuff like that. Because for example, if I look at my small cousins, of what they consume, he just loves Mbappe the whole time. Mbappe. And you know what I mean? So I'm thinking they're growing up now and they're going to be the dominant audience compared to when I came in and I was writing to a 40-year-old man on a newspaper and whatever. So yeah, just understanding who you're creating content for and seeing what's viral, You can apply like I think Bleacher Report was huge when I was starting and I liked Bleacher Report. So I was like, okay, this is the type of content that's going to go viral. Simple things where people are writing these long captions and pictures. I would just say one word with a full stop like them. And it was more effective, you know what I mean? So trends.
I also used to love Bleacher Reporters when I was starting out.
Because it's viral.
Yeah.
People like viral stuff. They like going onto a page and saying, whoa, 60K likes, 30,000 comments. You know what I mean? It attracts you because you associate viral content as good content. You're not really.
Yeah.
If you go to Athletic and there's 3 likes on an amazing piece of White Ten Hag is not the right man for United, but there's 3 likes on it. You know what I mean?
Don't get him started.
Yeah.
What I like about Bleacher Report is it's not just the writing. They have like the human
It's creativity.
Yeah.
But we were a group of young guys, like all out of university in this space. And we were like, we're going to make Bleacher Report content or whatever. And our superiors was hating the creativity. No, you're spending too much time on creating anime and cartoons and stuff. We just want simple, guys are Chiefs graphic. Our happy birthday post. And we're like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but it was finding the balance of, remember I told you the 3-minute thing and the So it's like we couldn't really say, because at the end of the day, when you have your KPI meeting and you see the stuff you didn't really like is outperforming the stuff you like, you can't argue. So, yeah.
Also with the evergreen content, like you're saying, sometimes I'm thinking of something like, oh, who was the top scorer?
Exactly.
And then
yeah, I remember.
report article from 2010.
And I remember, like, when I was studying also, and you're doing like a project, you're doing a serious project, maybe about the role of religion in society, and then you end up Googling Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and then you end up at Wikipedia, and then you're looking at Manchester United squads from 2007, 2008, and then you know what, this is just how it goes. So it's evergreen, like we're talking about the evergreen content. In 10 years' time, people are still going to be like on YouTube watching that video, you know what I mean? So anyway, yeah.
Okay, so before we wrap up, we're going to do something fun. So with the PSL season just around the corner, we want to get your rapid fire predictions. So you ready? The first one, who is your PSL champions for this season?
Sundowns.
Who do you see finishing in second, third?
Pirates second, SuperSport third.
And so which team do you think will face relegation?
Marumo Gallants and Royal AM.
And who's taking the Golden Boot for this season?
Let's go for Mabasa, Orlando Pirates.
Which side do you think will make the biggest impact?
Okay, I'm saying Gaston Sereno Chiefs.
And who do you say would be a player to watch this season?
Keenan Ayer from SuperSport United.
And manager to watch?
Is it a good or bad thing? Like, let's just say Chiefs, Nabi, because he could either fail, he could be the manager to watch. Everybody wants to watch Chiefs. So yeah, Nabi.
Lorenz, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on our first episode.
Thank you so much.
The journey is really inspiring, and I'm sure our listeners will take a lot from it.
Sure, thank you for inviting me. If you have another one, I'll come again. No worries.
That wraps up this episode of From the Sidelines, where we've explored the world of sports journalism and gained insights from Lorenz Köhler about how he navigated his journey to success. We hope you found value in this conversation and gained a better understanding of how to break into this competitive industry, all while staying true to your passion and values. You've been listening to From the Sidelines, part of the We Should Be Writing podcast series, a project by the Journalism and Media Studies Honours class at Wits of the University of the Witwatersrand. This episode was produced by myself, Tristan Monzeglio, and Rivaldo Jantjies, with editing and graphics by me. Our theme music is courtesy of Pixabay. For full credits and more information, check out our Spotify for Podcasters page. Don't forget to follow us on social media at Witsvuvuzela and explore more of our work at witsvuvuzela.com. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.